Good evening and welcome to the regular meeting of the Swanton Village Board of Trustees for August 26, 2024. The village president, Dave Winchester, is out today, so I will handle the meeting. Our first order of business is call to order, and our second order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is agenda review. Does anybody have anything to add or delete on today's agenda? Yes, sir.
We will need executive session for legal.
Okay.
Thank you. I have nothing.
Anything else? Nothing? All right. Number 4, public comment. Does the public have any comment with regards to anything that may not be on the agenda tonight?
That's us. I think that's us. Okay, so we live on 32 Canada, and we have the access, the drive that goes down to the river.
Can you state your name?
I'm sorry.
Can you state your name?
Oh, yes, Cindy and Jean Alvarado. And
Well, we have the easement is on our
yeah, the
property for the
easement
sewer.
for the village.
Yeah, for the village.
Yes. So when we moved there, we're kind of open to maybe people walking down the path and stuff, but that has evolved into it not being a great idea. And we've, as some police have known, there's been some incidents, and it's something that we need to address as far as for safety reasons, for, you know.
Well, it's an invasion of privacy, because
Yeah.
it is our easement, it is our property. And if you're sitting out in your backyard barbecuing or whatever, our dogs they have tags and licenses. We allow them out in the backyard so they can go do their business. We don't have the house, it fenced in, because they are pretty good about just staying in our backyard. But when out of the blue, you just see people just taking that cut path, thinking it's public property, and it's not. I don't walk in any of your yards. Any of you, I've ever walked in any of your yards, but people keep walking in our yard, constantly going down there. But I tell them, we had them posted a sign saying it's private property, please don't go down there. The main reason is, kids go down there, and we found needles, we found all kinds of drug paraphernalia down there, and
They leave trash.
Yeah, they leave
build
trash down there,
fires,
they
and
build
there's a lot of
fires down
brush
there.
It's not
and
safe.
it's private property, and
Yeah.
it's like, I don't really wanna go down there. Actually, somebody not too long ago was in overdosing, you guys know about it, I think the police know about it.
Yeah, I wasn't working that night, but
Yeah.
I'm familiar with the incident.
Yeah.
So, that's part of why we wanna kinda restrict that. And it makes it easier for the police to monitor any kind of bad activity going on, if they kinda stay more in where the state park is, where that park is in that area. Marble, yes, thank you.
Yes, yeah.
But to come to bleed on over into the private property, it's like, you guys don't really go, and hey, let's go monitor people's private property, see what they're doing on there.
Yeah.
So we like, hey, we're gonna put up, as soon as they're done with the sewer stuff, we're gonna put up signs along
Yeah.
there.
Well, yeah, we have signs made already, we're just waiting for the water.
Wait for them to get
But
done,
we're looking for a solution on how
to
to,
stop the
what's
path,
the best way to,
yeah.
because we've had to tell people a lot of times, and they argue with us.
Yeah.
Oh, no, it's public
Even though I
property.
posted it too, saying private property, private path. Don't-
Especially now that there's machines down there, and that's another thing too, it's not safe to go down there now with them working on the water line, and they're still going
You
there
still go down there.
with their dogs, they're even trying to drive, you know.
Hey,
And they
some-
could, there's a barrier there and everything, and they're still doing
It
it.
said road closed.
Yeah.
Somebody started walking down there and I go, hey, where are you going? It's private property. And they go, oh, I thought that was just the road was just close because they're working down there. And
Yeah,
I
I
said,
thought, oh, you're not supposed to drive down
I
there.
said, didn't you just see that sign and you just walked past? No, oh, sorry.
No,
And then
we,
it said road
Yeah.
closed too.
Right,
There's
exactly.
big equipment down there and they still want to go down there.
yeah.
So we're just looking for a solution on the best way to, you know, work with the police, work with you
Yep.
guys and everything, and try and get this to,
So
you know,
why
our
don't,
our neighbors are in agreement too, they're
Yeah.
not
Okay.
happy about it either.
why don't we give seeing as how Sergeant Gagne is here tonight, why don't we give him a little bit of time to have discussions and come back next meeting and see what we can come up with.
Okay.
Okay?
I can meet with you,
Yes.
I'm not sure what time this meeting will get done, but I can meet with you, I'm back on shift tomorrow and come and walk the property with you and meet with you. But my first recommendation for you guys would be if somebody's on your property that's not supposed to be there, call our non-emergency line. You know, at least go and make contact and move them along. If it's a repeat offender, then we can work on issuing no trespass orders.
Okay.
And then that could lead to, you know,
Well, it's,
criminal
it's
charges.
such a quick, that's the thing, like, I know you guys.
Are they just using it as a
It's
cut
such a
through and they're
quick little
not?
thing, like I'll tell them, and they, you know, they'll argue with me most cases, but they will leave. And it's
Okay.
just such a brief encounter, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not arguing with you, then continuing onto your property.
Right.
Oh, a few have, but most of them are
Yeah.
pretty agreeable once you tell them, hey, this really is
Or
not.
they're like, oh, I didn't see the sign.
Then
Well,
they
it
realize,
just-
so then they go around.
Yeah.
Because some of them are using it as a cut through to get over to the park. And it's like, I don't cut through your yard, why are you cutting through mine? You know,
You guys have a
Okay.
camera system?
That,
yeah, there's.
That's something the
cameras.
village could work on too, is, because we have that property back there, is at some point in the property, just put up signs that say like, this is the end of village property, you're now entering private property, we're not allowed.
Oh, yeah, that would.
Kind of like coming across, like posted signs in
So-
the middle of hunting season in the middle of the woods, but.
Not down there, yeah.
you got a quick interjection?
I have a lot. I always do.
Quick interjection?
It's quick, but it's important. So,
Yes.
from Canada Street, first of all, hi, I'm Bill Sheets, I'm the village manager. Pleasure to meet you, thanks for being here. When I'm looking at where the construction equipment is down, are you the first house after that on the right, or where the parking
We're the
lot, shared
houses
parking
on the
lot?
corner of Spring and.
You're on the
yeah.
corner, so you're
Yeah.
2 away from there. So, I believe, right? So, if I am.
No, if
No,
you're
we're-
facing
No,
it,
they're
we're
right on.
right, we're the
You're
house
right
is
on it.
right there.
Yeah, the little old salon.
You're the White House.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
The
Okay.
salon
Yes.
licks are really old salon.
Gotcha. So our intent is, we're concerned that it's gonna become a convenient path for people
Right.
because they've improved it. And we wanna keep that stone that they laid down to put the water line down so that we can access storm drains and things like that we have down there. Our intent is to place a gate, a
You are,
locked
okay.
gate at the
Okay.
top of that.
Good.
That means nothing for people walking. So
Right.
I love the plan with the sergeant to do that communication, make it a problem we can tackle together and address that. But
Yeah.
in terms of four-wheelers or others, we're definitely gonna put a gate there at the completion
Yeah.
of the
'Cause there
project.
have been people riding those down there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, a lot, we see that and
Yeah.
try to stop them too.
And the drillers will be out of there by Wednesday.
Oh, wow.
The project's
Okay.
not gonna be done for another few weeks, but in that time, for the police, they'll have to monitor it more closely because there's gonna be no gate.
Right.
Right.
Do you have any idea what kind of gate you guys are looking at doing?
It's the one that we already own for free, so
Oh.
I have not
That
seen
makes it easy
So
then.
that makes it easy, because that's what we can afford. So
Yeah,
that's,
yeah.
that's what we plan on installing.
No, I think
Okay.
they didn't put the retaining wall up yet.
No, they haven't.
They were
The one that used
replacing
to
the
be on the
retaining
farm.
wall.
Yeah. They knocked out, there's a level there where we're level and then it drops way down to where the road goes down.
Yep.
The retaining wall, they had to knock it down to get to their equipment and they're supposed to rebuild that with CMU block.
Yeah.
Correct,
And
that's,
then-
yep,
okay.
I've heard.
So I
talk
guess
about
just
that.
before that retaining wall
Yep.
would be a good place for the gate to say, stop.
Yes.
Yeah,
This is,
Yep.
don't go down here.
Right.
So, and that's perfect because then only the township or the sewer company and us would have the key to get into that gate,
Correct,
right?
that's right. Yep.
That would work perfect.
Yep.
And I know we had talked about that before, but we didn't know that was ever
Right.
formalized.
Right.
Okay,
Cool,
that's awesome.
awesome. Any other questions, or?
I had one. Does it happen 24 hours a day?
Happens anytime throughout the day.
When we happen to catch them,
Yeah,
yes.
whenever you happen,
Yeah.
it seems like whenever you happen to be out in the yard doing something.
Yeah.
Walk down there.
Why is things like that?
Cause there's a lot of times you're not paying attention, you don't know.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then suddenly another neighbor from the other side will say, hey, you know somebody's down there doing some stuff? What?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, our neighbors have been great about letting
Yeah.
letting us know. too.
cause they don't like it either because some of that property is theirs too, like where
Yeah,
Lenny, I
sure.
forget Lenny's last name, but two
Yeah,
houses
you got
over,
Lenny
he
on
owns
that
a
side,
part of
and
that
you got-
property down there too. And he's actually caught people pulling in with a camper down there and wanting to camp. He's like,
Yeah.
what are you doing?
Yeah.
I even have the people, the neighbors across the river calling me like, did you know people were there?
People are down there hanging out with a fire and stuff around their
Yeah.
backyards.
All right, so it sounds like we do have a plan,
I think so.
with the officers and the village, with the gates and everything like that, so,
Yeah.
we'll take everything into notes and then, we'll keep you folks posted.
Sounds great.
Sounds
All
good.
All right.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you for coming in. You're welcome to stay.
Oh, I would like to see some more, yeah.
So, all right, thank you again. Next on the agenda is to approve and accept the minutes from the Monday, August 12th, 2024 meeting as presented.
I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes of Monday, August 12th, 2024.
I second that motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve and accept the minutes from Monday, August 12th meeting as presented. Is there any discussion?
Good job.
Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The ayes have it. Next on our agenda is to approve and accept the village warrants through Thursday, August 22nd, 2024.
I make a motion to approve and accept the village warrants through Thursday, August 22nd, 2024.
I second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second to approve and accept the village warrants through Thursday, August 22nd, 2024. Is there any discussion?
No, sir.
All right, hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Moving right along. Number 7, Swanton Village Police Department update with Chief Matthew Sullivan.
All right. So you have two packets. The first is the village data for July, and then the second is the village and town combined. You'll see that we responded to 139 incidents in the village. The top 10 incident types were 18 suspicious, 12 directed patrol, 10 agency assists, 9 welfare checks, 8 traffic stops, 7 crashes, 6 citizen disputes, 6 citizen assists, 5 juvenile problems, and 4 trespassing. Out of those 8 traffic stops, there were 3 tickets issued and 6 warnings. There were 10 arrest charges for 5 individuals. And do you want to
Sure.
give a shot for the town and the village?
Alright, so in the town of the village, we responded to, first of all, Cleveland, don't know my own, sorry, Kyle Gagne. We responded to 290 incidents in the town and the village. The top 10 incident types were 51 directed patrols, 31 suspicious person circumstances, 26 traffic stops, 23 agency assists, 16 motor vehicle complaints, 14 welfare and suicide checks, 11 crashes / property damage, 9 citizen assists, 9 citizen disputes, and 8 juvenile problems. Out of the 26 traffic stops, we had 18 tickets, 18 warnings, 16 arrest charges for arrests associated with traffic enforcement, and 12 individuals total for those 16 arrest charges. We also did 19.25 hours of additional services for the town.
Does that take into account the bridge work, the 19.25?
To some degree, some of that may have been flagged as additional services
Okay.
when we were out doing traffic enforcement.
Okay.
Also associated with the detour.
Yeah. So, anything stand out that is cause or good, bad, or indifferent?
No, it's been a busy summer for us in general, compared to a few summers. It seems like we're having a lot more in-depth cases than we have in the past, not counting drug work that we've done. We kind of had a little bit of a lull in cases with the cold weather that kind of came into the rain, but overall we've had a pretty busy summer.
Yeah. I can see that.
Even though it was wet.
Yeah, it doesn't always stop our calls, unfortunately.
So, anybody have anything else for the police chief or the sergeant?
I'll review it later.
All right,
A lot of information.
yes. Thank you very much, gentlemen.
It is a lot of information.
I think it's probably-
Agenda item number 8, ARPA funds discussion.
Okay. How much money we got, Bill?
So this is a continuation of the conversation at the last trustees meeting. So to remind everybody, we received $710,116.68 as part of ARPA funding. We had encumbered or earmarked all of it at one point. There is now a remaining balance of $88,665.45. That had been designed to be utilized by Weeman Lamphere Architects for the purpose of the public safety facility. There had been some discussion internally about utilizing it for the reimagining of the space behind us and over to our right to determine what the best needs would be, the best assessment for a future public safety facility in our current space. So as a reminder, we have an ongoing contract with Weeman Lamphere to move our electric company next door to the land we purchased at 124 First Street. When they vacate, if we're on time, sometimes in 2026, we would have X amount of space. We'd like to utilize funding to best determine if this meets the long-term needs of our police department.
That makes sense to me. I don't,
Makes sense.
right off the top of my head, think of any other real worthy cause that we have in front of us except for the police. Everything else that I had on my agenda, you know, the water, the wastewater, the pipes, that sort of thing, they're in process.
They are.
And this could be the next thing on my agenda. The police is so ridiculously crowded.
Agreed. Agreed. So, okay. Yes, ma'am.
I'm here about the ARPA funds. I'm Suzanne Washburn, and everyone here knows that I am the swan lady, and I take care of the swan and the duck and the pond and that kind of thing. And we have an issue with the liner right now. It's really deteriorating, and it's the pond really is too small, and we'd like to make it bigger. And I have put something together. It's a little spreadsheet I'll hand to you, so you can see what I'm talking about. I think I brought enough.
I can share one.
As long as they have it. Susan.
Huh?
You know the trustees are the important ones up here.
I-
We're here once, so
Here, you can see it if you want.
here, I'll make sure they each have a copy of their own, and I'll share with you.
Okay, there you go. So initially, this project, as things were breaking down, I was getting estimates for everything. It totaled up $63,000. Oh my God, I almost had a heart attack. So it's down to what it is now. And I think I gave, I'm gonna have to take one of those copies back.
You certainly may.
So anyway,
You want that, so you can continue talking while he makes the
okay. You guys have
copy? You're welcome.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
So the plan is to, I think you, the trustees remember, I was here with Mark Rushlow last fall. And we were talking about this because we originally had anticipated being able to make this a year-round activity and pond. But they require 4 feet and we're not allowed in that particular spot to go down 4 feet because of our own infrastructure.
You said 4 feet?
Yeah, and Dean said, no, can't go down that far. So anyway, we're back to the pond the way it is, but it's going to be at least 1/3 foot. It's only 18 inches right now, so it's really shallow. And as you get closer to where the shed is, we're talking inches. It's, you know, his belly is on the stones, so.
So you're going from nothing to 4 feet.
No, we can't do 4. We don't have 4. Right now, we have like 18 inches. That's how deep the pond is.
Right now? Oh, it's even bigger now.
Yeah, I need to get it, I'd like to get it at least to 24 inches, and we think we can do that. It can't go further than that, but 24 inches would be fine. We can get it, more level all the way across. But there's some things that I really need to get changed, is the water, the stones in there get really dirty all the time, and we usually have to drain it and have someone come in and power wash the stones, and it sits, stuff up, it stirs things up. So it's very difficult to get it to settle back down and then add the water, because once you add water at any velocity, you're stirring what you just cleaned off. So anyway, the proposal that I have in front of you is to put in a new liner. I have a quote for installation and purchase of the liner and the filtering system. It's gonna be a sand filtering system, so the water is constantly being filtered. And it will help keep, any algae, there is stuff that grows in that pond. So the total for that is $15,000. And I'm here to ask of $15,000 of the ARPA funds to put this new liner in and this filtering system. I did a lot of research on who bought the liner to begin with, because this was back in 1961 when the Swans came. I don't know if people know the history, but they came in 1961 and they were a gift from the Queen of England. And when they arrived, there was no place to put them, so they were in the fountain. They were floating around in the fountain because it was the only water source we had. And then some of the trustees here, and I think some select board members, hand dug a swimming pool, and it was cement. You must remember that.
Yeah.
You grew up here.
Like blue.
Light blue, they painted it blue, and that needed to go because it was deteriorating, and so that came out. Ron Kilburn got involved, and he was the Swan guy, and he and Dave Hamlin, who's now deceased, designed what we have now. So it's the liner, it has all the stones, give it a more natural look. And the shed that we have now was donated by Neil Spear. He built that, and it emulates what the library looks like. So it all worked really well, but it's over 25 years old, and he's pulling the liner up now, and it really concerns me that he might be swallowing things, and I can't lose a swan or a duck or anything. I don't want it to be contaminating the water or whatever. So, Mr. Brandon of Brandon Pools gave us a really reasonable quote for the liner and the plumbing system, so it totals $15,000. And that would get us really in good shape to get that in there. The excavation part, I and some volunteers will hand pick stones that are in the pond now, because I need rounder stones in there. Some of the ones that are in there are cut off and they're sharp on their feet and on their bellies. So I'll, sift through and get more round stones. Someone told me where I may be able to get more at no charge, so that's even better. And I have access to a tandem truck that could bring it in. So, everything else on here is trying to use a fence over again. I know there's some little corrosion on it. I'll get a brush and I will hand brush off the fence. And if we have to paint it, well, we have to paint it. So I'm not worried about that. But I will share with you, we have been advised that we would be a recipient of a shed for the pond. And that will be 8 by 10. And it will be 8 feet deep and 10 feet long. And So I'll have you pass these around. An architect drew these sheds, designs, and you'll see it's pretty self-explanatory. The existing shed and options to consider. And our pond committee has settled on B1, you'll see it as it goes down. And the reason we chose that one is the donor, the benefactor of the shed, would like it to look like the rail station. You know,
Make it look like the what?
the rail station.
Oh, the rail station, okay.
Mhm. Again, you know, that whole
Oh,
Swanton on the move
No,
kind
it's
of
a bit
thing.
different, that's what she said they're gonna go with this one.
Okay,
D or B?
B,
Oh,
B is in
B.
boy.
B is in boy.
Sorry,
Yeah.
I thought it was
B is in boy.
Bravo one.
And it'll be taller so I can stand up in it. And I won't be working bending over all the time. So I have a contact that may build this shed for us. And we would have to make arrangements to have it delivered, but, you know, we have chamber members who volunteer to do that part too. I have volunteers lined up to do the landscaping part, you know, digging up the grass and replanting grass and edible flowers for them to have. And so it's, you know, it's just long overdue. It's just something that we need to do at this time. And I know, because we all got our tax bills and basically tax for funds, so I'm looking at how to raise money for the other things that I have on my list. And we have some ideas, but when I know more about that, I'll let you know what those are. But for now, the most critical aspect of that pond is getting that liner removed and a new one put in before winter. So I'm just asking for your consideration to designate some money. I'm asking for 15, but asking for 15. So I hope there is room for that in here. From what I have gathered, the village did buy the original liner. There were no records from the chamber that it was purchased through the chamber. And, you know, it's so long ago, and the people that were around then have passed away, so I don't have the originals to go back and ask, so.
Who pays for the upkeep of this one?
Oh, who pays? The chamber.
The chamber pays for the upkeep. Is no tax dollars are spent towards this one,
No.
not even from the town?
Oh, the town donates, it was on a ballot item years ago, and kept coming up on a ballot item to donate $2,000 a year, and it was always voted in as yes, so they removed it. And so $2,000 goes for the care and feed of the swans.
does that cover the wintertime costs as well?
That is being done at no charge
That's what I thought.
by a private individual.
Just wanted to make sure we put that out in the public,
Yes.
so they can hear
Yeah.
it. That is a good thing.
As he's been wonderful, his whole family's been wonderful about this. So, they're doing very well. He bought them a big Amish shed, a huge Amish shed. And he's piped water and faucet and everything like that in there for them. And,
Like a hobby,
huh?
like a hobby.
It is kind of like a little gentleman's farm with the other animals that he has there. So,
So
it's a good home for them in the winter.
let us do this, let us put this discussion on the agenda
Uh-huh.
for one of the next few meetings,
Mhm.
and we can have discussion and go from there.
Sounds good.
Sound like a plan?
Anyone have any questions for me?
Has the town been approached at all?
They know about it, but I haven't, because I don't know if they have ARPA funds either. If they have some and we can split it, that would be even better, but I don't know what they have. I only knew about this one, that's why I'm here.
Okay. So,
I don't
that's,
know.
yeah, that's my suggestion, is we, we'll make it an agenda item, one of the next meetings, and
Somebody can,
Agenda
so-
item to talk about the swans and the police department and ARPA, or so we're not gonna talk about anything for Matt. And
I missed what you were saying.
I missed it.
So what I'm asking you
Yes.
is, are we tabling this whole thing? We're not even gonna discuss what we wanna do for the police department, we're just gonna table the whole thing?
No, I wanna table the discussion on the Swan Pond
Just on what I'm
to
asking.
this point,
Okay,
for this point,
gotcha.
so. But as far as the ARPA funds for the police department, we need to continue moving on
With that,
with that,
okay.
so.
So what do you suggest then in terms of a motion to include a monetary amount
Yeah.
to set aside? I don't think we need to articulate anything more than, it's a motion to set aside X number of dollars for the reimagining of the police department when the electric department leaves. Something along those lines. Doesn't have to be that wordy, right, Diane? Doesn't have to be that wordy. I could see you looking at me.
What makes sense to me is to set aside something like 50,000 for the police work and see how far it goes.
Sure.
And I'll make that a motion. Please.
Wouldn't 70 be like more reasonable?
I don't know what it would cost. Has
You could,
anybody got
you
an
could
idea?
say up to. So the real discussion, and I don't know that it has to be decided tonight. I wouldn't say that anything is really sole source, meaning I don't know that Weeman Lamphere is the only architectural firm that can do this, they're certainly not. But they have spent considerable time, resources, and energy already working on a public safety facility, regardless of whether it's located next door or here. They know what the needs are
They know the space.
of the police organization to include space, holding cells, everything, because they've already done that work.
Correct.
It makes sense to use them, in my mind.
It does, yeah, it does.
I say that
For
when
continuity.
I have not even approached them to see if they have the capacity to do this
So
work.
we can do it Thursday.
So, but maybe the language is up to $70,000 to enter into a contract with Weeman Lamphere Architects.
Yeah. Can you amend your motion?
I can amend my motion to say 70,000, please.
Oh, no,
to-
it's
Up
up
to,
to
yeah.
70,000.
Up to,
Yeah, and I'll second that motion.
All right, so we have a motion and a second on the table to appropriate, I guess is the word I wanna use, up to $70,000 for reimagining the police department with Weeman Lamphere. I have that right?
Yep, Weeman Lamphere Architects.
Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
aye,
Opposed? The ayes have it.
and we still have a little bit left.
That would leave us with a balance of $18,665.45.
All right. And then what we will do is we'll put the Swan Pond on a future agenda to discuss. So, okay. Number 9, village manager update.
Oh, my goodness. Well, welcome aboard.
One of these days, I'm gonna say I have nothing.
Today's
Today's not that day.
This is the best part of the meeting, by the way.
It is not. So the first one is an action item, but it would have been under any other necessary business. So I just want to highlight that we were contacted by Northwest Access Television.
I saw.
So, and I believe I forwarded it as a pre-read
Yes.
for the meeting.
Yes, you did.
So normally they bill us $1,500 for the great services that we see here. Thank you. For the camera record, she took a bow. And we do value those services, and they anticipate that based on a number of factors and rising costs, just like everybody else, that their costs are gonna be estimated to cover what they do now at about $4,000 a year. So they did send an invoice for $4,000, and it's one of those things where it does a couple of things. It allows us to meet the new legal requirements for making sure that the meeting is documented on film. We link to it. Diane links to it and sends it out as part of the meeting minutes. Not only that, we know how many people watch it on YouTube, and hundreds more watch it on the regular scheduled programming. So the fiscal year that it runs through is July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2025. They have not billed us the $1,500 yet. So their bills have not gone out. They sent a prospective invoice. I had a great conversation with Paul Snyder, their executive director, just to clarify what they really want and are looking for is a commitment. It doesn't have to be paid today. We could say the trustees could make a motion advocating that support and the support in that amount and pay it after the first of the year and include it in the budget, unless you think there's an alternative way to pay it. But I've watched many of the other towns have the same dialogue, and I didn't love their approach. Some are suggesting that they're gonna do it on their own. I don't see how we can replicate what's happening here
Not-
for $4,000.
Not that quality.
It's a valuable service to the community.
Question.
Definitely.
Would we have the ability to use probably ARPA interest? Interest from the ARPA fund?
The trustees could certainly do that. We have,
There would be no taxpayer implications of that.
But I think, based on what he just said and what you said, it's gonna be a year
Right, but,
forever requirement.
right, but what he's saying is we can pay this year, this
Mhm.
4,000 with ARPA interest, and then we can put the 4,000 for next year in the budget.
That makes sense.
as of March, so I'm sure it's more, we have interest accrued through the ARPA funds of $13,940.62. So that would seem to be a win-win for Northwest, for us, and for the community. We're doing this at zero impact on the taxpayers.
We can act on that right now.
Let's do it. You make the motion.
I'll make the motion. That we use some of the interest earned on ARPA funds to pay a $4,000 to Northwest Access TV,
And I will second that motion.
All right,
supported by Comcast.
there you go. We have a motion and a second to approve $4,000 for the invoice to Northwest Access TV for the July 24 through June 25 agreement using ARPA interest funds.
Question, I forgot something. Should the motion include the fact that we are going to put it on the budget for next year? Or should we try to remember it somehow?
It should be included as part of the budget next year, an increase from $1,500 to $4,000, because that bill would become due July 1st of 2025.
And of course,
So-
it could be 5,000, depending on how the work goes with this organization and Comcast.
I will make sure that Lynn is aware of at least updating the budget next year for
Fine.
Northwest from $1,500 to $4,000.
Then I don't have to worry about my motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second on the floor. Is there any other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
That's a good suggestion, Adam.
Mhm.
Using the interest, that was a good suggestion.
Thank you.
That's pretty good interest, by the way.
Pretty good interest, yes, that's good.
Somebody's got a good rate.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, you're good with that motion, you're all set? All right. Electric department, so on August 22nd in this very room, we held our first initial meeting with Wayman Lamphere to just kind of start roughing out square footage requirements and what it's going to be needed to move next door. And as a reminder to the public, those watching, and to everyone in the audience, it is to relocate everybody from this wing, meaning your customer service folks, my position, our electrical engineer, grants, into the new building, and that will then free up the space for the PD to expand. While it's not as ideal as the new proposed facility, we heard loud and clear that that was too expensive, and we were always presented as this would be the most viable plan B. In fact, many suggestions from the audiences at the 38 open houses were, why don't you move the electric department next door to make space and to renovate this space? So that's what we're exploring. The electric department has money and resources available to pay for those at least upfront costs without impacting rates right away. I want to assure people when we start talking about Wayne and Lampier doing an architectural assessment of the current space needs, that does not mean, I gotta repeat, does not mean that we're ready to go out for a bond next year or even for a couple, 2-3 years. So I think you're well aware of that as well. But even freeing up the space will demonstrate to the community, that from the community, that we do care about the long-term impact on our police department. So very good meeting. Again, a fast track for that will be maybe 2026 before they would move anything next door. And that might be a long shot. It might be early 2027. Any questions reference that? On Wednesday, August 21st, I think everybody in the room probably felt this. We experienced a power outage that was system-wide. That was caused by a unknown issue, likely a bird strike on Velco's transmission line. So we're a distribution utility. I want to this message is really for those that are on Facebook that thought that because we have our own electric company, we don't lose power. If we lose the transmission line, we do not have power, just like everybody else. They do have the ability, and they did close our system back in so we could go up and running again fairly quickly within about 30 minutes. But I got to see firsthand, thought I was back in my state police days in the dispatch center. I'd like to know how many calls, but we had 5 people here working the phones in Hydro, and it was hundreds of phone calls. So we met that, and I'm glad it went back on when it did. So for those out there that think our power does not go out, well, it's infrequent. This one was no fault of anybody's, but we got it back on as quick as we can.
Dumb bird.
I think it probably was a cooked goose.
Yeah.
That's what it was like. Yeah. Yeah.
About the wedding swan.
Yeah, it's correct. That's right. It wasn't a swan.
Bill, may I ask a question? Seeing as how you have received so many calls about that particular incident, is there a method that when something like that happens, that you can get it out to the public, that we're aware and?
Yes and no. So based on the restrictions of our system as it's constructed right now, not really. It was immediately put up within 2 minutes on our Facebook page. People's phones went out. So if you didn't have FirstNet, if you didn't have it like we do, your cell phones went out, your internet was down. And I guess you're calling as an awareness to say, do you know the power's out? But by the 100th call, you're like, yeah, we're well aware the power's out.
Sorry, take back the question.
So in short, once we get automated metering, there might be and that's by the end of next year, there might be an avenue where people would get an immediate message through that. But
More to come.
that's next year. As a follow-up, we stated long ago the trustees supported enhancing our visibility and security at Marble Mill. So we are working on a fiber solution and a camera solution that in all likelihood will not be installed until 2025, the spring. However, our electric company, their next available free time, which is who knows when that's going to be. Correct. They are going to go ahead and do the lights in Marble Mill. So if you're walking down Marble Mill from the parking lot toward the tennis courts, there's 4 utility poles. They're going to put brand new LEDs ×2 on each of those poles. And then they believe that this year they can get the new lighting, LED lighting, back up on the basketball and tennis courts.
They're gonna be shielded so people can't shoot them out?
Well, that's why we want fiber and camera security there, but we're gonna test it. And but you're right. Sadly, we live in a day and age where those are targets, and they like to shoot them out. So the warning for the camera is you never know where the cameras are going to be. But I think even in advance of that, we'll have stuff set up where we can capture people doing that, or at least capture surveillance of people doing that. Let's move on. So the river crossing. The river crossing project, as a reminder, just puts a water line will become our main water line coming down from the water plant McQuam at the bridge, Foundry Street. It goes down Foundry Street, goes 13 feet under the Missisquoi River, 600 feet across to the Webster Terrace side, and comes out right near your house. So connecting to Canada Street. The drillers are done drilling, so it went in series of a pilot drill from each side, and magically, literally the two they meet in the middle when they're not there, but they sense where the hole is. Then a 12-inch and then a 20-inch hole. So that is done. They started fusing pipe today, and they should have it done by the end of tomorrow, early Wednesday. And they'll pull the 600 feet of pipe across, and then Henniker Drilling, the subcontractor, they'll be done. And they'll leave the site, and then it's up to GW Tetro to make those last connections, which sounds easy, except there's essentially wells, receptacles on each side. One's like 7 feet deep, one's 13 feet deep. So 2 or 3 more weeks of work for GW Tetro on that. But really good progress. The drill went through, because I don't want the trustees that were here for a long time to have flashbacks. The drill didn't get stuck. We didn't have to pay for any of it.
Thank you.
So it worked out pretty well. So it is on time, on schedule, and on budget.
No.
On budget.
Yep.
It is back on budget. So
Alright.
the magic of 0% financing and loan forgiveness. So for the residents of Foundry Street, everything will be restored to its original state, plus you'll have a fully paved street. So from the intersection of the bridge down to the T, before the curve, it's structurally it's good, so they'll do about 1.5 inches of asphalt over the top of that. And they've rebuilt the road for that bend past our wastewater treatment facility pump station, and just around that next corner, kind of maybe 10 feet past that corner. And that will all be paved. So it's been resurfaced, it's gonna get paved. It was, in a rarity, the state of Vermont did us a solid. They made a determination that because of the water line, we destroyed a significant portion of the street. So it became part of the project cost. So instead of paying the entire thing, we get 50% loan forgiveness off the top, 0% financing.
Awesome.
And you can utilize a portion of the money that was already there for paving as part of the project. You were literally getting a brand new paved street, not at taxpayer expense, but as part of this loan forgiveness for about 30% of the money.
Great.
So it's really truly a win-win for everybody.
Absolutely.
Good job.
Now, in the not so good news, on August.
One question, Bill.
Oh, sorry. Yes, sir.
Is that on the boat landing side? So it's gonna be all paved over there? The
Oh
boat
God,
landing?
not that far. So, but it is on the boat landing side, so all the way down, you know where our wastewater treatment facility is?
No.
Oh, okay. So you make that last corner,
Uh-huh.
the rest of that will not be touched. So all the way, maybe the last 100 yards, maybe 150 yards to the boat launch
Uh-huh.
will not be paved.
Okay.
It's gonna be improved because we're gonna inherit some of the leftover stone from GW Tetro, so it's gonna be smoother,
Oh,
but it's
okay.
not gonna be paved.
Okay. That boat landing area gets pretty crowded right around the beginning of fishing season.
Walleye season, it's
crazy
yeah,
there.
it is, absolutely. Yeah, so sorry to cut you off. Any other questions about that?
How about that?
Okay, so on August 20th, however, the contractors were working on Foundry Street, literally in the middle of the road, because they were simply trying to create a substructure. And unbeknownst to anybody, us, on any planning map or anywhere, and certainly unbeknownst to them, they ended up clipping the top of a 2-inch pipe. That 2-inch pipe, unfortunately, went down probably 15 feet or so, we're just guessing based on maps, and connected at a T to our 10-inch force main. So everything flows by gravity through 3 pipes in our system, down and across the river. And then that pump station is what pushes it to our wastewater facility. So sadly, somebody 50 or 60 years ago put a pipe in, probably for a pressure test, left it, and thought it was a good idea to leave it in the middle of that road. So for about 30 minutes, it was uncapped. to say that what a proud moment watching wastewater, GW Tetro, and Public Works just without panic. Real critical incident, just move slow, methodical, but fast. Because you can't really hurry that stuff because of the danger factor. And they did a tremendous job in alleviating it. So it was full blast for about 20 minutes, and for about 10 minutes after that, it was very much residual. But we estimate, based on daily usage calculators, that we spilled about 10,000 gallons of raw sewage into the Missisquoi River. So our vacuum truck, and you want to talk about, because some people often say, what do we need that thing for? Well, here's an example of what you need it for. It literally would have backed up without the vacuum truck on the Marble Mill side and came out of all the grates there and entered the river from this side and caused even more damage. So just a tremendous response, but a truly unfortunate incident. Reported to A&R right away, the state of Vermont. The Agency of Natural Resources inspector was on scene. We followed all protocol for signage, for warning, for filing, and we await their findings and their investigative report. So those are the next steps. Theoretically, we are subject to a fine based upon that, depending on which class violation they determine it to be. Any questions on that?
Yeah. Would our contractor be liable at all?
I do not believe so.
Okay.
I think that to have them have any idea that it was there, totally different story if we gave them
Yeah.
a site map and they hit the pipe.
Yeah.
But while it's not a fault of ours, it's not a fault of theirs, and we own the system.
Yeah.
So
Take it, yeah.
I believe,
Okay.
my personal opinion is that we would own the cost of any fine that was coming our way.
I think so too. Based on what I know.
Hopefully it'll be soft. It truly is.
Hopefully it's less than what Burlington receives, and when the heavy rains hit and they dump everything into the lake.
The millions of
Just saying.
Millions of
saying.
gallons a day.
And
Yeah.
thousands.
I haven't heard about this.
Yeah, and like even the Agency of Natural Resources, there's, you go on their site and you see these spills, unfortunately, throughout the state on a far too regular basis, because it happens. It happens based on flooding incidents or natural disasters, and you just hope. The maximum fine, by the way, per incident is $42,500 if it's a class 1. I don't think ours rises to that level, so.
And the A&R guy was here already for the accident, so.
Yep, he was on his
Oh,
way
the
to the
chocolate
accident, and
trucks.
he pulled in to us first.
Yep.
Yeah.
Great.
So any questions, any other questions reference that?
No, sir.
All right. Quickly, fire department, the windshield on the ladder truck's been replaced. As a reminder, if you weren't here, they were responding to the tree on the house in Alberg with entrapment. And they were actually the department and the ladder that was used during that rescue. And they hit a great blue heron and broke out the passenger side windshield. So it's back online, fully up and ready to go. They have been busy. They were there all day for that tractor trailer the same day as the spill in the river, and have had to go back a couple times to assist with that. Let's move to wastewater. Kingsbury Construction is our vendor who was awarded the contract. Reminder, this is a $8.5 million project of a much needed upgrade of our wastewater facility. And today was day one. So I was on site for that kickoff, and they're on site, ready to go with a completion date as of right now of December of 2025. So big project, long project, but will go a long ways toward impacting the use of chemicals that we do and the impact of phosphorus on our watershed.
Is the centrifuge gonna be first and foremost?
It is, and the centrifuge itself is on site, but the control panel to operate said centrifuge is still not there. So it's going to be second. Let's go with it's going to
Okay,
be
fair
second.
enough.
They're tearing down the old building on the left first now,
Okay.
and the fence should have been gone today. I wasn't there all day. I was just there this morning. So second, and next meeting when I give you an update, it could be third, it It could be as quickly as possible. Any questions about wastewater in that project? All right. Hydroelectric, so, Unit 1, we're still waiting on the spacers, for the final installation of that control ring to get that back online. Unit 2, I know I keep talking about this, all the bearing work is now done. However, when they started it up, there was a little bit of vibration. So they discovered, ready, that the magnetic center of the motor is off. Once again, I gotta chalk this up for stuff I never thought I'd be talking about. Wiki gates and all that stuff. So they gotta have a specialist come in to fine tune it. They say it's not that much of a big deal, but again, these are 100-year-old units that we're trying to get back online. The week of September 9th is gonna be shut down for maintenance. So as a reminder, that involves a tremendous number of internal and external people doing required annual maintenance inspections. If water conditions allow, the diver gets in the water at all points and looks at everything and videotapes and all that stuff. So it used to be a 2-week process. We now do this, we do a force multiplier, bring everybody in, and we do it in 1 week. That way you can get the,
Dewatering the pencil?
yes.
Be a
Dewatering.
chance, be a chance for this lady to see it.
We have it in our, Dan has it in our notes. You'll all be invited to go inside the bladder. You'll be invited when we get the real sludge out of the penstock, not that there's much, but the slippery part. You'll be able to walk the penstock and do that as well.
That's interesting. I want to see if the limestone deposit dissolves, because that's what will go first.
All right. Hey, look, we don't leave out the police, okay? You can go.
You can walk through the penstock, and you can light it up and everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just make some macaroni and cheese and
That's
show up.
Yeah, so that's hydro. Any other? Okay, no questions.
We've been generating pretty well, though.
We've been generating exceptionally well. So for those that don't know, we're one of 11 municipally owned power companies that are part of the Vermont Public Power Supply Authority. I sit on the board of directors. This is the first month where we have not received money based on generation. So 3,800 customers, Highgate, Swanton Village. We supply the demand for that power through hydroelectric generation. If we supply more than the demand, it goes on the grid and people purchase it from us. So money coming in. We're ahead. We have more money coming in and we've covered our demand this year so far 100%, which is a very good place to be.
Yes.
It's not that we're getting rich, so I'll say it for those folks that I know are watching and gonna comment on Facebook. It's also an aging facility where just to upgrade certain things that are 40 years old, for example, the exciter panel, there's 4 of them. They're all 40 years old, they need to be upgraded, and each one at current dollars is $283,000. So, all the maintenance and upkeep, but they're doing an exceptional job up there. So if you ever want a tour of that, we often have tours, and feel free. Wastewater too. Poop is interesting. So, MVU Career Fair, what's
Yes,
that?
it's a drinking water too.
Drinking water, yes, that's less exciting, but
It's good.
it's very good, I'm joking. I know
Poor
Todd
Todd
will
and
watch this.
Avery.
I know Todd will watch this. and I'll
Right, and
hear
Todd will be
about it.
like, hey,
It's critical.
I got you, Todd, don't you worry.
I agree.
Yeah, it's just so MVU Career Fair. So MVU did something new this year. On August 22nd, they required all teachers in their system to go out and find a site working with Franklin County Industrial Development Corporation to go to a job, a trades job essentially. So we hosted 12 of the teachers, and they went to VPT, they went to Ben & Jerry's, they went all over the place. So we had 12 of them, and the whole point is that it's not just designed for kids that are on a college track. We need, not so much us, because we're fully staffed with the exception of 1 police officer, but we have 41 full-time right now with no openings in those trade areas, but many of the companies do. So if a child can excel in certain parts and it's the trades, encourage them to do that. So they came out and we really interested teachers. We had a math and a physics teacher that in the classroom, right, brainiac gets it, but he could put it to use because he was geeking out on the turbines, and hope he's not watching this, geeking out on the turbines and the other stuff in there. So that was pretty cool. And it was highlighted by the messenger. So that's gonna become an annual event. So it's good to see the teachers get engaged because we certainly are gonna need employees down the road. My last one, I promise. So stormwater, every year we try to make improvements on what we're doing with stormwater. So in theory, in somebody's system, to include the village of Swanton, your stormwater in a perfect world is separate from wastewater. That's not completely true for us, and that's evidenced by the fact you can get that July storm, you might have 400,000 gallons a day. So like I said, it goes through the system, goes to the wastewater plant. The amount that goes in comes out as literally potable water right back into the Mississippi River. So in a heavy rainstorm, it'll increase from 400,000 to 500,000 gallons a day to 1.5 million gallons a day. That's based on the fact that we have inadequate, just like every other community, stormwater capacity. So one of the projects that we're highlighting that we'll start work on this fall, and we pick and choose these, is I'm gonna get the 7, 9, and 11 Brown Avenue, so literally right over here. We're going to do a little work on the driveways to remediate some culvert issues for private homeowners, and then go back in the spring and do a 15-inch culvert that will have basins attached to all of it, and it will connect to the true stormwater system at the corner of First Street. So we'll start picking these off as we can. We identify as much grant funding as we can, but again, the whole goal is to have them truly separate, and then to do everything you can to mitigate what's going in your stormwater, because what goes in stormwater eventually goes to Lake Champlain. So all that silt, all that sediment, all that fertilizer, all that runoff, you want to do as much as you can on the front end to remove that so it doesn't go in the drain, and if it does go in the drain, it goes in the right drain. So that's a highlight for that project. Any questions? Sure.
The Brown Avenue, you're gonna reroute the water to the brook?
Right through a culvert,
Okay,
right to the intersection
Yeah,
that's in front of
right.
Peoples.
yeah, okay, yep. So I thought, makes sense.
And then, but there are many, so if you're watching and you're not on that list, we are doing a survey. We're trying to prioritize all of our needs for every structure, every street, every sidewalk, and prioritize that. And if we had $100 million, we could do it all right away. And we know we don't, so we have to do it piece by piece, and we just keep knocking off the most impactful areas, and we do those projects that way.
Agreed.
One
Yes,
at a
sir.
time.
Our main goal is to be ahead of the game, so we're not stuck like Montpelier, where it's suddenly like, whoa, they should have done something 100 years ago, because now they're flooding every year, that kind of the deal here.
Well, flooding's one thing. They are infamous for pipes bursting all the time. So we have some old pipes too. That's the same thing, that infrastructure, so it's no different, whether it's water, wastewater,
Right.
stormwater, any of the other things that we have, fire hydrants. All of those structures that you see that are in the street,
Right.
we have inventoried those, and we're in the process of prioritizing those. So it's, we're in a pretty good place. We're not perfect. We'll have our breaks all season long, as we do, but that's why we have a public works department and not a highway department, because they're, especially this time of year, they're in the hole doing repairs and other things on water and sewer, wastewater, as much as they're doing anything else. That's all I have. I mean, there's more, but that's all I'm gonna cover tonight. I
No,
know, I feel Diane looking at me.
thank you very much, Bill, I appreciate it.
Thanks, Bill.
Any
You
other
always do such a
questions
good
for the
job.
village manager?
No, just
All
wanna
right.
thank him.
Number 10, any other necessary business?
So I just
Miss
have,
Susie.
I just have one thing. So, Mr. Kelly brought to the Facebook group page earlier today that there was an additional act of dumping at the stump dump of like particle board and plywood and miscellaneous items that don't belong there. And I just like to remind everybody that the stump dump is for stumps, trees, tree limbs, pine cones, not
What?
plywood, pressure treated wood, not your construction waste.
Right.
Please and thank you. We don't wanna have to get a gate and lock it, but if we have to, then we would have to move into that direction.
It's been a problem forever.
I know.
Is
We
it
had
on
to-
law firm?
And the thing is, no, this is the one off from St. Albans. The problem with this is St. Albans Road, is that then our Public Works Department has to go to the stump dump. They have to collect all of this construction waste, bring it to Casella, and pay to have it taken by Casella, which then costs the taxpayers money and the time from our Public Works Department. And if we could all just be cognizant of what the stump dump is for
Get a camera.
and using it appropriately, that would be appreciated.
Yep, agreed.
But they're gonna come in at night. Whatever.
So we'll start working. We should do some enhanced signage. We'll have some cameras installed. We'll make sure that the ordinances that the town has in place cover it and or applicable state statutory language. Fiber will run by that location at some point, and we'll have enhanced camera capability in 2025.
Okay.
Put a
But
sign
in the
up that says
interim-
smile.
For the camera, you'll have to guess where the hidden trail cameras are starting tonight.
And there is no prize if you find them.
Just don't destroy them, because
There
you're
you
being videotaped while you do.
I have a question regarding that. Is there a fine for that? If the people get caught dumping the wrong thing, do they get fined? Is there a means of doing that, same thing?
You should.
Yeah, go ahead, chief.
There can be, so there is a town ordinance regarding solid waste, so $250 for a first violation, $500 for a second violation. So, which we can charge under regulations in municipalities, and then there also is a state statute regarding illegal
I
dumping.
didn't know that.
Cool. Okay. Thank you.
Anything else, Susie?
No, that's all I have.
Mr. Jean?
I'm okay for now.
All right.
Thank you.
The only thing I had was, I did get word that, the chamber would like to utilize, the village park for Halloween in the park on Saturday, October 26th from, let's say, 5 to 8.
I think it's okay.
Do we
Okay?
just- So maybe give a motion, a lot on it?
No, normally
Do it.
Diane will put that right on the,
Okay.
and then Christmas in the park is tentative for November 30th.
30 November.
Yep.
Is that Saturday?
Last Saturday, the Saturday after Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
Not sure of the
okay.
time yet, but that's the tentative date.
Good. Excellent.
So, obviously, we can't this year, but maybe next year we can add a kind of a bigger community element to your Halloween in the park. Maybe get like a band and some bouncy houses and stuff.
Play the monster.
For
play the
Halloween
monster
and
mash.
No,
Exactly.
Christmas. Sorry, she's Christmas.
I'm Christmas.
She's Christmas.
I'm
Yeah.
not
To
Halloween.
That's
the
right, I
chamber's
forget.
Halloween in the park, let's just do
Not a
it.
Halloween person.
I get it mixed up.
That's okay.
Okay, anything else?
No,
All right, I'll entertain a motion to go into executive session to discuss legal.
I move that we find that we enter into executive session for the trustees to receive confidential legal information for which premature disclosure of it to the general public would clearly place the trustees and others at a substantial disadvantage.
I'll second the motion.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. We are in executive session.
I was reading that.